As we are told in Joel 2:15 and 16, blow the trumpet in Zion, sanctify a fast, call a solemn assembly, gather the people, sanctify the congregation, assemble the elders, gather the children, those that suck the breast. Let the bridegroom go forth of his chamber and the bride out of her closet. We're looking for a time of sanctifying a fast for redemption. And so in looking for a time of fasting for a possible time of redemption, definitely I am interested in Yom Kippur and the Day of Atonement. But I also question another day prior to the Day of Atonement that I wanted to share for this study. Now, Jeremiah 8:20 says, "The harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not safe." The question I have is, should there be a time prior to summer ending that ones that are going to be redeemed should be saved? In Amos 8:1-2, it says, "Thus hath the Lord God showed unto me, and behold, a basket of summer fruit. And he said, Amos, what seest thou? And I said, a basket of summer fruit. Then said the Lord unto me, the end is come upon my people of Israel. I will not again pass by them any more." And so there is a basket of summer fruit that is seen, and that's not passed by. And if this is the case, them being considered as the redeemed fruit, then it would need to be before September 19th on the Gregorian calendar, which would also be the 31st day, the 6th month on God's calendar. So by any chance, reference in the Bible to fasting during the summer days? And the answer to this question is yes. If we take the meaning of to fast as to eat only sparingly or of certain kinds of food, especially as a religious observance. It just so happens that Ezekiel was instructed by God to fast by only eating bread made from wheat, barley, beans, lentils, and millet. And so in Ezekiel 4:9, we are shown that out of the 430 days Ezekiel laid on his two different sides, total 390 days he laid on one side and was given a specific diet to eat. So indeed, he was fasting then. And so from what I can tell, the last 40 days of the fast, that when he turned over and laid on his right side, I don't think he was eating anything, because initially he was just told to eat the bread during the 390 days. And then, out of the 430 days, 40 days very well could have been a strict fast, maybe just water. So let's find out when Ezekiel's fast actually started and then ended. And I think we'll find out that not actually 430 days, it's actually more days that it lasted. Talk about that in a few. Where I'd like to start to get this answer is in Ezekiel 1:1, where we look and see that Ezekiel went to the river Kippur. That was on the 5th day of the 4th month on God's calendar. So if we go from the 5th day of the 4th month and then turn to Ezekiel 3:15 and read that Ezekiel came to the exiles at the Kippur River and stayed among them for 7 days, we then can see that his fasting time began the day after that, on the 12th day of the fourth month. In Ezekiel 3:16 and 17, we read that it came to pass at the end of the 7 days, he was told to give people a warning. And then in Ezekiel 3:24, the Spirit came into him and raised him to shut yourself inside your house. So it was on the 12th day of the fourth month that Ezekiel's fast began. We start counting then. But before we start counting, we have to realize that within the Bible itself, there seems to be a numeric code when counting numbers of days. Now we find out that in God's calendar, as I've expressed in other studies, some months have 31 days. But within the Bible, and particularly when we look at the 150 days in Genesis and 1260 days also in the Bible, we find out that they're not counting these 31-day months. Genesis 7:24 tells us it's 150 days. But from the second month and the 17th day to the 7th month and the 17th day, it's not. There's 2 months with 31 days, thus 152 days would have been between that time period. And yet another example of this numeric code is in Revelation 11 when it talks about the 1,260 days of the two witnesses. Works out to 42 months. 42 months times 30 is 1,260 days. But during that period, it's actually 14 days of 31-day months. Thus, it should be 14 days more than 1,260. So if we follow this numeric code found in the Bible for the 430 days listed for the fast of Ezekiel, then there would be 4 months within that time period of 31 days, and thus the actual total of the fast would be 434 days, twice 430. So now, starting at the 12th day of the fourth month, we can go 1 year forward of 364 days, again to the 12th day of the fourth month, and then 70 more days to 434 days to end up with the last day of the fast on the 22nd day of the 6th month on God's calendar. That matches with September 10th, 2019. Well, guess what day the 22nd day of the 6th month on God's calendar turns out to be? Well, it happens to be a couple of the timings of a type of first fruit, specifically oil and wood. And the Dead Sea Scrolls 4Q3942, it says on the 7th day of the 6th month, this is one thing, but then it further says on the 22nd day of it, the 6th month, it's the Feast of Oil and the offering of wood. And so, looking at the skies on September 10th, right about midnight, we see in the constellation of Virgo, the planet Venus within the head of it, Venus being Yahushua's planet, and within the 12 stars. So I wouldn't be surprised if both groups of 144,000 could be involved in something. Maybe these are the wise and unwise virgins. And so I mentioned the prior slide, the wise and unwise virgins could be the two groups, different groups of 144,000. The unwise being the ones that stay on Earth. For some reason they didn't get oil in their lamps on a timing of the first fruits of oil. So again, on this day we had the first fruits of oil and wood. The wise could be considered maybe the oil. The unwise, maybe the wood that stays within the rack of the fire. I don't know if I'm right on that or not. And then Revelation 14:4 it mentions that these are the ones that follow the Lamb wherever he goes, and they were redeemed from among them, being first fruits to God and to the Lamb. Now, it's a well-known fact that most of the Israelites, which are called Jews, don't believe in Yahushua. And because of that last fact, when we read the difference between the two groups of 144,000, in particular number 2 here, we see that Revelation 7 is only sealed with Father's seal. Revelation 14 has both Father's and Yahushua's seal. And so, just reiterating, I think that very well could be the two groups of 144,000 are the equivalent in Matthew 25 of the 5 wise virgins and the 5 unwise virgins. It's not wise not accepting Yahushua. You got to have both Yahuwah and Yahushua. Micah 4:6-8, it says the Lord will assemble her, will gather her, which I believe is the virgin, and will make her a nation, will reign over them in Mount Zion, which I believe could be the second son, and going to be the tower of the flock, the stronghold of the daughter of Zion, and to her will come even the first dominion. Before I forget, I wanted to go back to Joel 2:15 real briefly, just point out again, sanctify a fast. Wanted to let you know what sanctify actually means. What it doesn't mean is that you have to go fast. You don't have to go fast. From what I can tell, it's more of that you need to observe it or acknowledge. Just know that that was the timing of it, basically. Now, after Ezekiel has finished the fast, in Ezekiel 5:12, we show that it says a third part of these shall die with the pestilence and with famine. Shall be consumed in the midst of thee, and a third shall fall by the sword, and a third shall be scattered in the wind. Now, I believe that Zechariah 13:8-9 sounds an awful lot like Ezekiel 5:12 when it says, and it came to pass that in all the land there is 2 parts therein that shall be cut off and die, but the third part shall be left therein. I'll bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined. So the day that Ezekiel is told what is going to happen to the world after he had finished his fast actually was the 23rd day of the 6th month on God's calendar, which is the equivalent day on the Gregorian calendar of September 11th. Now, he was further told, Ezekiel 5:17, that the Lord is going to bring famine, wild beasts, pestilence, blood, sword against the world. And this is the beginning of God's wrath, his fiery wrath. We're going to see beasts. We're going to see these creatures flying, beasts that Lucifer brings in. We're going to see beasts described in Revelation 13, the 2 beasts there. We're going to see famine, pestilence, pale horse. So Sister Sherry has told us that September 11th is Yahushua's real birthday and not December 25th, which is actually an occultic celebration, pagan celebration of his birthday on December 25th. Now, this would be on the Gregorian calendar. In the year that Yahushua was born, fell on the Gregorian calendar then. On God's calendar, September 11th would have been on Rosh Hashanah, the Feast of Trumpets, the first day of the 7th month. But anyway, September 11th is a target date, she further says, for the removal of the 144,000. And taking the Lord's 144,000 home. So the next day is September 12th. And on God's calendar, it's the 24th day of the 6th month. And Haggai 1:14 tells us that the Lord stirred up the spirit of Reuben, of Joshua, high priest, spirit of all the remnant of people, and they came and did work in the house of the Lord. Now, I believe that in this day and age, these ones mentioned would be the representation of Sister Sherry, Shaz, Yahushua, and the 144,000 first fruits. They'd be talking about the house of the Lord, maybe being the second son, Enoch's planet. And in Haggai 1:15, we do see that the day on God's calendar was the 24th day of the 6th month. So, remembering that Haggai 1:14 tells us about the working in the house of the Lord, John 14:1-3 says, I go to prepare a place for you, and if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you may be also. And I believe that the place that he's prepared for us is the second son, what we've been calling Enoch's planet, that very well could be called Mount Zion, because Zion means a sunny mountain. And why we've been calling it Enoch's planet is because descriptions of it are found in the book of Enoch. In chapter 61, we actually read that there's angels that take cords to measure, and they've gone to measure the righteous, bring the measures of righteousness. And the elect shall begin to dwell with the elect. And I think this time of measuring is the same time that John is asked to measure, and measures the temple of God, the ones that worship there. Of course, we have been the temple of God, our bodies. They've resided within us. Yeah, but it does say, do not measure the outer court. That's given to the Gentiles. Chapter 70 of the book of Enoch further explains that the cords measure were taken to a place for the elect and righteous. And it was there that Enoch saw the first fathers of the righteous, who from the beginning dwell in that place. Now I think that is going to be when we dwell in that place also. So finishing up the thoughts on the Sister Sherry tells us this first group, the elect group, will be coming back to help down, which will be the second group, to where they need to be. They'll also be doing other things for the Lord during that time. So the second son, this planet, will be their home base, where they will be able to come and go from the earth. They will stay basically at the second son. Now, continuing on in Haggai 20-23, on the 24th day of the 6th month, it's further said to Israel that the kingdoms will be overthrown, and everyone will come down by the sword. in that on that day, that take Zerubbabel and make me as a signet. And the definition of a signet is actually a seal. So I'm thinking that this could be also the timing of when Revelation 14:1 talks about getting Father's name written in the 144,000's forehead. Found it very interesting to note that the meaning of the word Zerubbabel is the leader of the first group of returning exiles. And indeed, that meaning for Zerubbabel is the leader of the exiles. The first group leader for us has been Sister Sherry, and now is the Queen of Fire, Shaz. Zechariah 4:7 says, "For you, O great mountain, before Zerubbabel, you shall become a plain, and he shall bring with the headstone thereof with shouting." Now, the meaning for headstone is actually tablet, stone. I think this could actually be the Ten Commandments on the two tablets. And if I've told you that I think Shaz is a representation of Zerubbabel, when Sister Sherry said that Father said that we will bring home the Ark of the Covenant when we leave, this would really make sense that would be the headstone. Sister Sherry reiterated this bringing home the Ark of the Covenant and the tablets when she said, "I'm not going to get into rapture arguments right now. Who qualifies and who doesn't. This is exactly the Lord's words, and these are the ones He's taking. Be it first, is the ones who've been on the front lines. He's taking them home, and when they leave, they're going to take home the Ark of the Covenant." Zechariah 4:9-10 says, "The hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this house, and shall also finish it, and thou shalt know that the Lord of hosts has sent me unto you. For who hath despised the day of small things? For they shall rejoice and shall see the plummet in the hand of Zerubbabel." Basically, plummet is the same definition as headstone. So, in turn, we could be talking again about the two tablets of the Ten Commandments returning home within the Ark of the Covenant to heaven. The Ark of the Covenant will be in heaven. It's been a joy, Father, doing this study. Thy will be done.